Reality is supposed to follow rules. Time moves forward. People exist where they belong. But what if reality misbehaves? What if a single moment overlaps another? A person appears who should not exist, or knowledge emerges that is impossible. These are not myths. They are reported events where the world itself seems to glitch, leaving witnesses questioning everything they thought they knew. In 1901, near the opulent Palace of Versailles, a remarkable phenomenon occurred. Two women were walking through the gardens when they reported something impossible. The streets, the buildings, even the people seemed wrong. They described seeing carriages and dress styles from a previous century, voices speaking in archaic tones, and the air thick with the scent of a time long past. They later realized they had witnessed a time slip, a moment where the past appeared to overlay the present. Witnesses noted people dressed in fashions that should have disappeared decades before, and architecture that no longer existed. They walked through familiar gardens, yet felt transported to another era. The women's account was taken seriously by local historians and reported in French newspapers. Skeptics suggested hallucinations or misperception, yet their descriptions were detailed and consistent. The sensory experience, sights, sounds, even smells, was vivid and lasted several minutes before the world snapped back to 1901. This event remains one of the earliest documented cases of a time slip, where the flow of reality seems to overlap itself, giving ordinary observers a glimpse into another era. For those who experienced it, the memory is haunting, impossible to explain, and undeniably real. Other witnesses also reported strange occurrences near Versailles that year. A few travelers described catching glimpses of streets that shouldn't exist, hearing voices speaking in old dialects, and seeing horse-drawn carriages in places where only gardens should have been. Historians who examined the accounts noted the incredible consistency between descriptions, despite the witnesses never knowing each other beforehand. The women later recounted feeling a subtle pull, almost as if the present was pushing them back into their own time. The experience left them unsettled, haunted by details they could not explain. They could remember faces, buildings, and fashions from another century with perfect clarity, even though those details should have been entirely foreign. Scholars studying this phenomenon point out that the Versailles time slip is among the earliest and most compelling recorded instances of reality seemingly overlapping itself. It is not just a story of seeing the past. It is a story of feeling it, living it for a few surreal moments, then returning to the world as everyone else knows it. No one has explained why these slips happen, who experiences them, or how they affect the timeline. For those who walked through Versailles that day in 1901, reality behaved incorrectly, and it left a permanent impression, an experience that challenges everything we think we know about time, space, and the boundaries of the present. From the overlapping past of Versailles, we move to Tokyo, Japan, 1954, where reality itself seemed to fracture in a different way. A man appeared who should not have existed, carrying documents that made no sense, and challenging the boundaries of geography, law, and common sense. In 1954, a man arrived at Tokyo's Haneda Airport with a passport and driver's license claiming he was from a country called Taured. Airline officials were puzzled. The country did not exist. The man appeared calm, confident, and utterly perplexed when questioned about his origin. Maps and atlases showed no such nation, and attempts to locate it failed. He carried official paperwork, including checks and documents from his supposed country. Currency and identification looked legitimate, but every authority that examined them found no trace of authenticity because Taured was nowhere to be found. Witnesses reported his frustration as he tried to convince officials of his nationality, insisting that Taured had existed for centuries. Airport staff placed him in a hotel overnight while authorities investigated. That evening, when officers returned, the man had vanished. All of his documents, luggage, and personal effects disappeared without a trace, leaving no clues about how he arrived, where he went, or what had truly occurred. This incident has baffled researchers, cryptologists, and paranormal experts for decades. Some suggest he was a traveler from a parallel universe or a glitch in reality itself, a person who slipped from one timeline into another. Others consider deception or hoax, but no evidence of fraud was ever found. The man from Taured remains a chilling reminder that sometimes the world does not follow the rules we think it does. The disappearance of the man from Taured left airport staff and officials baffled for decades. Witnesses described him as ordinary in appearance, yet his knowledge of geography, banking, and language seemed impossible. He spoke with confidence about his homeland, even pointing to locations that appeared on his passport, yet all records showed no such country existed. Investigators retraced every step he could have taken, but no security footage, no staff accounts, and no records offered any hint of how he vanished. His hotel room was empty, bed untouched, luggage gone, no sign that anyone had ever stayed there. Even the taxi receipts and hotel paperwork referencing his presence seemed to fade into nothingness. Paranormal theorists, time-slip researchers, and advocates of parallel universes cite the case as one of the most compelling examples of reality glitches. It suggests that our world might overlap with other timelines or dimensions in ways we cannot perceive, and sometimes, ordinary people slip between them without explanation. The man from Taured is a ghost of possibility, a reminder that reality is not always consistent. He walked, spoke, and existed in our world for a brief, tangible moment, only to vanish, leaving behind more questions than answers. Authorities, historians, and skeptics continue to debate the case, yet one thing remains undeniable. He should not have existed, and yet he did. Next, the story moves to England, 1957, where two sisters provide evidence of something equally impossible. The Pollock twins' reincarnation case, a chilling account of children who seem to carry memories from lives that never should have been theirs. In 1957, in Hexham, Northumberland, England, tragedy struck the Pollock family. Twins Joan and Jacqueline Pollock, aged 11 and 9, were killed in a car accident, leaving their parents devastated. Less than a year later, the family welcomed another set of twins, Jennifer and Gillian, born to the same parents. What happened next defied explanation. From the earliest days, the girls began exhibiting memories, behaviors, and knowledge that belonged to their deceased sisters. Jennifer knew the names of places and people she had never visited or met. She could describe a home that had been demolished and even recalled toys and belongings that had burned in the accident. Gillian, too, displayed uncanny familiarity with details only her older sisters could have known. Neighbors and family were stunned. The children insisted on visiting the site of the accident, pointing out exact locations and people, repeating phrases, and recalling events that had never happened in their own lives. Psychologists and parapsychologists studied the case, documenting the twins' statements in detail. Siblings' behaviors, preferences, and knowledge matched the deceased girls' identities with startling accuracy. Even small mannerisms, favorite foods, and unique habits were mirrored, leaving experts debating whether this was evidence of reincarnation, a rare form of cryptomnesia, or a phenomenon that reality itself could not explain. The Pollock twins case remains one of the most thoroughly documented instances suggesting that consciousness, or memory, might transcend death, challenging conventional notions of life, identity, and reality itself. As the Pollock twins grew, the uncanny connections continued. Jennifer and Gillian not only recalled names and places belonging to their deceased sisters, but also displayed knowledge of events that had happened before they were born. They drew pictures of buildings that no longer existed and spoke of family members' habits with a precision that astounded their parents. Psychologists documented these phenomena, noting the girls' insistence and accuracy. Teachers and neighbors observed behaviors that could not be explained by mere suggestion or coincidence. The twins would insist on visiting locations tied to their deceased sisters, recalling details that no one had ever told them. Some theorists suggest the girls were carriers of memories across a metaphysical boundary, offering a glimpse into a reality where consciousness can transcend linear time and death itself. When viewed alongside the time slip of Versailles and the man from Taured, the Pollock twins case suggests that reality may not be as fixed as we imagine. Time can overlap, people may appear who should not exist, and knowledge can surface without a source. These incidents challenge the very notion of what is possible. Across continents and decades, these three cases stand as profound reminders. Reality sometimes behaves incorrectly, and the world is far stranger than we can explain. Watch, listen, and decide for yourself. Drop your theory in the comments, because some glitches in reality are not mistakes, but messages that something lies beyond our understanding.